to the kitchen. Today I'm going to make some Cuban chicken noodle soup. It's the one that my grandmother made me when I was a kid. Every time we would go over there, she would have it ready for us. And whether it was cold or not, it was always chicken noodle soup for the first night we were there. So I'm going to show you how I make it. And let's go to the crock pot. First thing that I did is I have just a 2 or 3 pound chicken. It's the $5 kind. This is a really cost-effective meal as well. And I'm going to fill it up with water and let it cook. It's going to take a little while, but this is a first step. You have to build that broth, and then you're just going to add more flavor to it. I filled it up with water, not completely, because the chicken is obviously going to make more juice, and I have a very small crock pot. So I'm going to add my seasonings. So first I'm going to start with some salt. Give it some good old flavor. And then I'm going to do some minced onion. This is going to cook for a very long time, so the minced onion is going to melt down. I know my husband doesn't like onion yet. Gotta have pepper. Some garlic, of course. Then I have some cumin. And we will season everything again after it's ready. And oregano. So the cumin and oregano are staples in Cuban cooking. So I try and add it in just about everything. Lid on, and as you can tell, it doesn't really want to close all the way, but it's closed. It's a little bigger than my crock pot, but as it cooks down, it'll go down. I'm going to set it on power, and I'm going to do it for low for 10 hours because I want it falling off the bone. And then we will work on that broth when that chicken is done. I did save all the neck and heart and everything because that's going to make the broth incredible. So to make this really, really good, you got to let it do its thing for a couple days. But I promise you, it is the best chicken noodle soup ever. Okay, so I am going to take it out now. It's been in the crock pot for about almost a good 4.5 hours. The chicken looks done. Obviously, I got to do something because my crock pot's going to overflow. So I'm going to take it out and take the meat off the bone and work on that broth. Here's my broth, and I'm going to strain it and get out all these little bits. Now I'm going to add some water and the neck bones and stuff. So I added the neck bone, and I'm going to add some more water to it and then debone that and put the rest of the bones right back in. I just deboned all of my chicken, so here it is. I'm going to stick that in the fridge. And this is the broth. I put the backbone and a couple of the other bones in as well. And now I'm going to pour some water, kind of fill it up a little bit. And let that keep going for another 8-ish, 12 hours, something like that. Let all that stuff, that nutrients seep from the bone. And I just re-seasoned it, and I added my main seasoning. The whole point of making it sit longer is that the saffron can bloom. So I use this, but you can also get saffron by Goya. It's called Azafran. You can just add a couple of the little packets, but I added like a couple shakes back and forth to get the flavor that you want. It does have MSG in it, but MSG is good. So yeah, on to the next. I'll see you in the morning. So I have already taken it out of the crock pot, taken the bones out, and I put it in these containers. You can still, if you look at the fat, you see it starting to form. Because this is a step that you do not want to miss. You don't want to eat your soup with the oil slick on top.
No, it's kind of gross.
Yeah.
You want to let that cool down. It'll form a layer on top, and you scoop it off.
Yep, and then we'll put it back in the crock pot, and I'll show you what I do next.
Smells good already, though.
This is the completed. I got the oil off of it, and what's on the sides right there will probably not go in. So I'm going to add this back to my clean crock pot and add the chicken. So now I'm just going to put the chicken in pieces as I stick it back in the broth. I'm going to go ahead and add the noodles because I'm super excited to try this. So my grandmother always used spaghetti noodles, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to put them in, but I'm going to break them up as I do. So I added my noodles. There they are. And one of the best parts, there's a lot I know, of this soup is the noodles that soak up the broth and they get really big. It's the best thing ever. So I'm going to let that sit until that's done. I have it on high. And I shall have that for lunch. And it is now complete. Look how delicious that is. And the noodles will just soak in more broth. And what I always do is I add just a little bit of water when that does that. But you want the noodles like that. This brings back my childhood so much. But thank you all so much for watching. And if you enjoyed this recipe, go ahead and give me a thumbs up. And, and hit that subscribe button. And tell me, how do you make your chicken noodle soup? What do you do with it? And thank you so very much for watching. I'm about to go and enjoy this bowl of soup.